Good morning, everyone. Good morning. For those of you who don't know who I am, I'm Colby Pennington. I'm one of the nurses here at GMC, so some of you have maybe seen me in health services. This past summer, or in the past several summers, we've had the opportunity to go to the school nurse conference that Georgia puts on every year and had the opportunity to see Miss Patti Atkinson speak to us. She spoke to us about vaping, which I'm sure a lot of you at your age are very familiar with, but I think she has some great information for you today to learn a little bit more about it, the health side of that. And if you have any questions for her later on, she'll be here, but I'm going to introduce you to Miss Patti Atkinson.
Well, hello, GMC. It's a whole vibe here on this campus. I have never visited GMC before, so good morning. Good morning. Love it. Y'all are participating already. Alrighty. So let's go ahead and just quickly take a cleansing breath, because being up in front of y'all, getting ready to tell the story I'm about to tell, it's a little nerve-wracking. So come on, everybody, breathe with me in. Breathe out. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so thumbs up if you got the participant guide. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for participation. We'll be referring to that in a few minutes. Thumbs up if you got the breathing sticker, because we're going to use that too. Yep. Good, good, good. Excellent. All right. Let's go. Y'all are like, who is this? Who is this woman who was born in the 1900s? Yes, I was born in the 1900s. Yes, when I was your age, it was the 80s. So let's get some context here so y'all can give me some grace as I'm presenting to y'all today. So I know we're tight on time, right? So we have that hard stop at 8:55. So I'm going to need somebody. Where's my leader, fearless leader person? Yes, sir. Give me a 5-minute warning, please, sir. Aye, Captain. Let's go. So today we're talking all about how knowledge is power. In the 80s, we used to use scare tactics to change student behavior, young adult behavior. In fact, during homecoming, during prom, during anything that was special, they would pull up the most horrific car accidents, remnants, and put them in front of our school. Could you give me a Me Too if you've ever seen that tactic used before, the scare tactic? Yes. They would put brains in jars of formaldehyde, thank you, and put them out and show you that this is what your brain looks like on drugs. So it was horrifying. Like, luckily, in 2024, 2025, y'all, we know that scare tactics do not change student behavior. In fact, the research shows that scare tactics make things worse. They make your wellness worse. They make it a thing of shame and just complete depression if you do have a sidetrack in life and you do something that you know is not healthy. Scare tactics don't work. So today, right here, we're talking about how knowledge is power. We're talking about using the latest 2024-25 brain neuroscience to get some information across to you all so you can be informed and you can continue being leaders like you are here today, because you all are leaders. Being in this program here, you're not just your typical yeehaw college person. You are here for a reason. And my goal today is to help continue your leadership journey with empowering you with knowledge. Can I hear you say power is knowledge? Woo, woo. Y'all are going to be great. I love it. Okay, so as Mr. Colby said, my name is Patti Atkinson. I am a school climate specialist with North Georgia Regional Educational Services Agency. Don't worry, I'm going to tell you what all that means. So, North Georgia Regional Educational Services Agency, we have 16 of these RESAs in the state of Georgia that are employed to help schools, to help secondary education, to help with the Georgia Department of Education bring down things so that we can help to improve student outcomes, teacher outcomes, and even parent outcomes. I heard this was live streamed, y'all, so I got to really be on my A game today if it's live streamed. So that's what we do at RESA, okay? So my role as a school climate specialist, I have like the best job in the world, right? I used to be a teacher, I used to be a school leader, and then I found this wonderful thing called school climate. How do you make school better for students? How do you make school better for parents, teachers, everybody? And it allows me the autonomy to go and do things like this, that I can really go out into the community and figure out how I can help. And that's why I'm here today. Okay, so Colby shared the 6 degrees of separation we had. Georgia Department of Education asked me to speak about vaping this past summer. I speak anywhere and everywhere that will have me talk about vaping, and I'm going to tell you why in a minute. They asked me to speak at the State School Nurses Conference in Jekyll Island. Oh, it was fun. And I met Colby, your director of school nursing. And Colby came up at the end and said, hey, do you do like South Georgia? And I'm like, I could, sure. I'm happy to come anywhere and everywhere that would like to hear me speak. It's part of my life calling, y'all. So we coordinated, and then that beautiful sunset, gosh, I wish it looked like that last night. I took a picture with my lovely husband of 35 years, my AT guy, or AV guy right there. He had his eyes closed right in front of that building. We didn't get an Instagram moment, to say the least. Alrighty, so our agenda today. Take a second, review the agenda, the bullet points. When you're done reading the agenda, give me a thumbs up so I know you've read it. Got some speed readers in here. Y'all like, just come on, lady, just get to it, get to it. Okay, so as you notice, we're talking about power of knowledge. The more you know, the better informed decisions you can make, okay? As we jump into our content, we have some session goals for you today. Take a second, read the 3 bullet points, and give me a thumbs up when you're done reading, please. Beautiful, thank you. I really want to draw your attention, and I wish I had my Star Wars laser here to point over here, but I want to draw your attention to the brain science of the teen brain. Raise your hand if you're still in your teens. Raise your hand. Okay. Raise your hand if you're in your early 20s. Okay. 30s. 40s. 50s, y'all. Yes, yes, yes. All right. I'm not going to go any further than 50. I don't want to insult anybody in here. Okay. So we're going to talk all about the brain science. So let's get going, y'all. All right. Learning today is going to be active. Research shows anytime you see, I really need to get my laser light fixed. Anytime you see this icon right here, that indicates I'm telling you something for a reason based on educational neuroscience, based on brain science. So pay special attention. So today we'll be doing active learning versus passive learning. Passive learning is like a sit and get when you get really bored and you start tuning the person out, and hopefully I'll have some active learning for you that won't be so boring for you today. And we're going to use a chime to get your attention. So there'll be parts of today where I'll need you to turn and talk to somebody, but then I'll need you to come back together. So I'm going to use my trusty chime. So when you hear this, and you see me doing this, if you could model what I just did, hold your hand up when you see my hand up, that means we come back together. So let's try it. Beautiful. You got this, y'all. All right, so you're like, lady, you're treating us like we're kids. No, I'm not. I just got to get some ground rules here so we can use our time best. Okay, so as we jump into our learning, just like in your school, your classes, and even at home, you have a set of expectations and norms that we follow so that we can best use our time. So if we're thinking about these 3 expectations, responsible, active, and respectful, go ahead and think about which one you're going to uphold in the next 30 minutes with us together. When you have your answer, which one you're going to uphold, give me a thumbs up. Beautiful. Excellent. If we had more time, we would go deeper into this, but we got it. And again, research shows that when you establish a set of expected behaviors, you have greater outcomes for learning. So I'm not just doing it just to fluff this up. I'm doing it because it's neuroscience, y'all. Alrighty. We already talked about scare tactics. They don't work, right? I know growing up in the 80s, they were very much a part of what we did. My mom was a teacher. My grandmother was a teacher. So they were all about scaring the living out of you so that you would do what you were supposed to do. But really, it's the opposite. Scare tactics don't work. Knowledge works. Can I get a power is knowledge, please? Yeah, I was checking. Knowledge is power. Let's go. Knowledge is power. All right. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so that's where we're coming from today. As we unpack today, we have a learning target. Take a look at that learning target. And well, I guess I can't ask you what are some words that stand out to you. Can anybody answer what are some words that stand out to you in that target? Wellness, thank you. Health, thank you. Understanding, beautiful, beautiful. And effects. All right, if we use the pre-assessment of a fist to 5, where are you with this learning target? Where is your background knowledge? You're going to hold up your fist to 5 as a pre-assessment. 5, you could come co-facilitate with me, all the way down to a 0. Show me your fist to 5. Where are you at with this? Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Good, good, good. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Okay, so again, research shows you do a pre-assessment, you're going to activate learning a lot quicker than if I just talked to you the whole time. Okay. So before I get into my story, I have a personal story about why vaping is so near and dear to my heart. Sort of near. It's not really near and dear. I want to let y'all know that I'm going to tell a story in the next few minutes. It can be traumatic hearing about the story I'm going to tell. So if you're a person who's particularly sensitive to hearing about graphic things, tragic things, this is a time where I'm letting you know I'm going to be telling a story that's going to be challenging for me to tell and for you possibly to hear. Okay? So if you need to leave during the story or take care of yourself, I want to empower you to take care of yourself during this story. Thumbs up if you got it. I used to not do a trigger warning, and woo, my goodness, I triggered some people, so I always do a trigger warning now in this story. Okay, so could you give me a thumbs up if you played football ever in school, wrestling, swimming, baseball, track and field, jiu-jitsu. Ooh, got some jiu-jitsu. Yeah. Lifeguarding. Anybody a lifeguard in here? Awesome, awesome. Hope Scholarship recipient. Where are you? Give me a really high thumbs up. Okay. So, my story begins with all those things we just talked about. I'm a mother of 2 adult men now. And one of my adult men, when they were your age, maybe a few years younger because y'all are in college now, when they were in high school, they were all of those things. Everything y'all just said, okay? And something got in the way. What do y'all think got in the way? Bingo, vaping. Vaping got in the way, okay? So what I'm about to tell you is always hard for me to tell. I mean, I've told this story so many times, right? It's hard each and every time I tell it. So could I have some empathy and grace this morning from y'all? Give me a nod if you can give it to me. Thank you. Okay. So let's rewind to COVID. Could you give me a thumbs up if y'all remember COVID when it first hit? So my son, who I'm going to tell the story about, was a senior in high school during COVID, okay? So that's important to know for the story. When he was in 10th grade, he started to change a little bit. In fact, he started to change so much, the principal of his high school called me one day and said, Mrs. Atkinson, you need to come and talk to me about your son vaping on the school bus. And I was like, excuse me? I'm in education. My husband's a licensed professional counselor. I don't smoke. I've never smoked. I don't vape. You have got the wrong student. And then the assistant principal said, ma'am, if you'd like to come down, we'll pull the video. We'll bring our SRO officer in, and we can talk about possibly pressing charges because we don't know what was in that vape. I was like, oh, no, we're good. Okay, so son was expelled from the bus, okay? We did what any normal helicopter parent would do. And in fact, we're not even helicopter parents. We are bulldozer parents. That's one step up, right? One step up. That's even above an alpha parent. That's like you pushing everything bad out of the way for your kid. Can you give me a thumbs up if you have one of those parents at home? Sort of. Okay. So we did what any normal parent would do. We said, you know what? We know you probably weren't vaping, right? Oh, no, Mom. There was other kids vaping. Oh, we knew that. So how about we do this? How about you don't go on that bus anymore and you go ahead and we'll get you a car so you can drive yourself to school every day? Yeah, you can laugh. It was so stupid. Oh my gosh. Right? So we just like made it even easier for that kid to vape, right? Maybe we took the iPhone away for a day or two or took the Discord away for a day or two. But yeah, Discord in the house. But for the most part, we did not address it, right? We addressed it in a way that was not healthy, was not functional. So let's go ahead and fast forward, and I'll get my story going a little bit faster. So that was like 10th grade. He got a really great girlfriend and high school sweetheart. And his sports continued. He continued to do every single sport. He continued to make the honor roll. He continued to take AP classes. He continued to have his Hope Scholarship all intact, ready to rock and roll. And then things started to get more red flags that my husband and I turned a blind eye to, right? We did not address it the way we should have addressed it because, not to make excuses, but I guess I am going to make excuses, we didn't know about vaping, right? We had only heard here and there. We took his word for it. We were not good parents in that respect, okay? So more red flags kept coming up. Yeah, more disconnection, different friends, little strange, odd behavior with withdrawing. We fast forward to December of 2019. Girlfriend breaks up with him. He doesn't wrestle that year. Things just started to go just different. More red flags. We ignored them. I'm taking full responsibility. Fast forward to COVID. I said, oh, thank goodness I'll be able to be home with them. I can really micromanage every move. Whatever's going on, I'm gonna step in there and I'm gonna bulldoze this problem out of the way. I got this, right? So 2 weeks into COVID, it's late at night. We also have a second son who's a little less than 3 years younger than him. Came to us in the middle of the night, it was a Saturday night, and said, come right away. Call 911. Okay, but it wasn't that mild. I was like, what's going on? What are you talking about? Go into my son's room, and he is unconscious on the floor, barely responsive. My other son called 911, got 911 there, and that was horrible waiting for 911 to see if it was going to be okay, because we really didn't know it was going to be okay. I'll spare you with the details of what we saw when we walked in the room, because it's something that a parent would never, ever, ever want to see, or a brother. Ambulance packs him up in the ambulance really quickly, doing everything they can do to revive him and get him okay. I'm like, I'm coming in the ambulance. They're like, ma'am, you're not coming in the ambulance. Your son just turned 18 in January. You're not coming in the ambulance. But he's a senior in high school. I'm coming in the ambulance. No, you're not coming in the ambulance. Your son can't give consent because he had just turned 18 in January. Okay, I'll follow the ambulance. Husband stays at home with the other kid who's completely traumatized from calling 911. He only knew to call 911 because my son fell out on Discord. Thank God he was on the phone on Discord with his buddies, who then called my other son and said, go check your brother because he just fell out. Get to the hospital. It's COVID. They have the tent set up at the hospital. They have the hazmat suits on. I'm like, I got to get back there. My son was just brought here by ambulance. He's unresponsive. They said, ma'am, it's COVID. Step out of the tent, number one. Number two, your son is 18. You cannot go back there. What? So let that sink in for a second, okay? Then, of course, security comes to the tent because I'm like, no. Like, I'm going back there. Like, that's my son. I'm going back there. And then security comes out with a hazmat suit on, and they peacefully led me outside the tent. And then they said, go home or you're going to be going somewhere else tonight. And I said, okay, I'll go home. Not this calm, of course. So I go home, go back, crack of dawn in the morning. My son, I still don't know if he's alive. I don't know if he's breathing. I don't know if he has brain damage, because when he left, it was a train wreck, okay? We didn't know, okay? Next morning, in the hazmat. This time I have my little mask on. I'm ready to see my son. I need to know about my son. Is my son okay? Ma'am, your son is 18. We can't tell you anything about your son. It is COVID. Please get out of our tent and go home. Wait, let me talk to whoever's in charge here because my son is a senior in high school. Okay, so you get where this is going? That went on for a couple days. We didn't know if he was, well, I guess they would have told us if he was dead, but we didn't know his condition. We didn't know if he came out of the comatose state that he was in when he left. We didn't know if he was going to have brain damage from whatever he did with that vape. We did not know. So that went on for several days. Finally, somebody was able to let me back there, let me in, and he was coherent enough to shake his head to give a yes, let my mom back. Get back there, and it's again a picture that no mom ever wants to see. I was so thankful that he was alive. God, was I thankful. But it wasn't the same young man that was there earlier a couple days before. A different person, different brain capacity, if you will. So I promise there's a good part of this story. We're getting to it. So he did a lot of hard work, got rehabilitated, got on my hands and knees every night and said, God, if you can just pull him through this and let this be okay, I promise I'm going to get out into the world and I'm going to spread the word about vaping, and I'm going to make a difference. So that's the main reason I'm here today. It's because I made a contract with the higher power that I believe in, that let him pull through, let him be okay. And he is okay today, okay? He is okay. His life was very different after that. He still was able to graduate with a Hope Scholarship because we were online on COVID. He was not able to go to a college of his choice because he wasn't well enough to go to a college of his choice. But he was able to do what college worked for him. He was able to do extensive treatment to get over what had happened. And what had happened was, what he thought he was ingesting in that vape, which was THC, which is not okay, marijuana, that's still not okay, was actually man-made synthetic chemicals that threw him in a loop, that threw his brain, his body in a loop, that we almost lost him. We almost lost him that night. So that's what we're talking about today, is knowledge is power. If I had any idea as a parent and was able to tell him back then, rewind, that these vapes are not just vapes, there's synthetic materials that we don't even know where these things come from most of the time. Don't ingest them, lung cancer aside, like you can die, like it's a real thing. Okay, here we go. Now the good part of the presentation, right? Okay, the good part is, well, this is not good, but we know that post-COVID research shows that students are different, parents are different, adults are different. We're all different post-COVID. In fact, more than 80% of students in school have reported that they're having high levels of stress, anxiety, depression, and that's led some students, some young adults, to unhealthy coping because you're so stressed out. Okay? When we think about being stressed out and we think about vape, when I talk about vape, the red circle, we're talking about e-cigarettes, okay? Not just vape, but e-cigarettes. Look at that bottom statistic. 1 in 30 middle school students currently using. Look how that number goes even higher. 1 in 7 in high school are using. 2.5 million youths are using vape or some sort of e-cigarette. Like that's appalling, that those statistics. Wow. If we have enough time, I'm going to play this video at the end, but I know that we started a few minutes late. But this video is all about building your background knowledge, and I am going to share the link for you. So I'm going to do my best to play this at the end for you. Okay, here's your first interactive learning. What's the minimum legal age to buy nicotine products in the U.S.? Hold up a 1 for an A, a 2 for a B, a 3 for a 21C, 4, let me see where you are. Good, good, good. I got some educated people in here. It's 21, y'all. It's 21. Got to be 21. But that doesn't stop these shops that are popping up all over your community from selling it to minors. My son had no problem buying vapes as a 16-year-old at these shops, right? My son had no problem getting vapes from other students at his school that parents vaped. Okay? What's in an e-cigarette aerosol? Go ahead, hold up your fingers. 1 if you think it's tar, 2 if you think it's smoke, 3 if you think it's nicotine, or just various random common cancer-causing chemicals. Okay, some of y'all have seen this presentation before. Yes, it is the last response. Take a second, feast your eyes on these chemicals. Why on earth would anybody want to put these in our body? Because we don't know, right? We just don't know until you know. Formaldehyde. Formaldehyde is used to embalm things that are dead. Like, why would we inhale that? Of course, we know it's nicotine. Wait till you see the statistic on how much nicotine. Of course, we know there's toxic fillers, heavy metals, lead, poisonous, toxic things, not to mention what these things do to your lungs, not let alone your brain. So on your participant guide, look at your first page. What statistic stands out to you? Turn and talk to the person next to you about what statistic stands out to you. Turn and talk, please. Ooh, thank you. For the goodness of the group, would anybody like to share what y'all talked about that was on topic of the statistic? Anybody? Please. Yeah, that flavoring, 87% use that first statistic. What do you think's in you think it's organic watermelon in those flavorings? No, we know that, no. Okay, excellent. So vaping facts. 2/3 of Juul users, which is an e-cigarette between the ages of 15 to 24, had no idea that it contained nicotine, one of the most highly addictive chemicals you can put into your body and into your brain, right? Your next quiz. This is for a treat from the table back there that I brought, a mint or a bracelet. How many cigarettes, traditional cigarettes, are in one e-cigarette typically? Go ahead. A is 5, B is 10. Let me see. Come on, get those fingers up. The right fingers, of course. Okay. All right. Good. Okay. Y'all, look at this. Brace yourself. 590 in one Elf bar. 590 cigarettes. Yes, please take a picture. Just don't say anything mean about me on the internet. 37 cigarettes in one Juul pod. 82 cigarettes in one Vuse pod. Look at that. America is one of the only countries that has no regulation in the FDA for nicotine quantities. You go to Great Britain, the max you can have is 20 milligrams of nicotine, not 20 cigarettes. Well, yeah, I guess it would be 20-ish. In America, oh no, we don't want the FDA involved. Go ahead, have 590 cigarettes when you finish that Elf bar. Let that sink in. And that's from Stanford Medicine Research Lab. All right, good. So let me have y'all come back together with the chit chat. I'm glad you're excited about the content. Okay. Long-term effects of nicotine, brain development. This is my favorite part. I am a neuroscientist geek, okay? We're going to talk about the brain development in a minute. Take a look at these. Because your brain is still forming if you're under a certain age, I'm not going to give it away yet, you are more susceptible to the effects of addiction. And I'm going to tell you why and show you why so you can be empowered. Go ahead. Y'all, where's your minds at? Come on now. I thought that too when I found it. I was like, I wonder if they're going to think that. And I'm like, no, they're a military academy. They're not going to think that. Okay. You are fully developed. A, that's a 1. Hold it up. Let's go. B, 21. Oh, look at y'all. Y'all know. Y'all. Yes, yes, yes. 25 years old. I got married before I was 25. My brain was not fully developed, y'all. Let me tell you something. But I'm still married to him, so we're okay. Okay. Take a second. Put your eyes over here. So if you're under 25, let me see my under 25 people, thumbs up. Okay, good, good, good. Speak for yourself. There's some older people back there. Come on now. All right, so if you're under 25, your brain is guided from the amygdala, which is the back portion of your brain. That is responsible for all your emotional responses. It is fully developed. That's the good news. Here's the bad news. Your prefrontal cortex at the front of your brain is not developed until you're 25-ish. So you're going and navigating, going through life with this great big sensory thing in the back of your brain without the prefrontal cortex being developed. So when you're before you're 25, you're more emotional, things are a little bit more intense, there's more drama. Impulsivity is higher, and that's one of the reasons why teenagers under the age of 25 vape is because their brain is not fully developed. So hold on a minute, I'm getting to something better. Let me get back on track here. So when we think of an adolescent brain versus an adult brain, this slide pretty much captures what we've said, what I've just said, and knowing that nicotine addiction, you're more susceptible. But that's not all that happens. When you use something like nicotine or any other harsh drug before the age of 25, I'm not saying go use drugs at 25. I'm just saying when your brain is still developing, you're more susceptible to depression later in life, anxiety later in life, more types of drug use later in life. It's really important that you keep your brain healthy because you're going to have it the rest of your life. Like if I would have had this presentation when I was your age, I would have done a lot of things different in the 80s, let me tell you, because I'm paying for it now, y'all. I am paying for it. I'm like, wait, where did I put my car keys? Gosh, I wish I wouldn't have done that when I was in the 80s. But anyway, I didn't know about all this in the 80s. Okay, nicotine effects on your brain. Your development, it stunts your development of your brain if you're putting these chemicals in. It reduces your learning and your ability to learn. My son is still struggling with, he's a smart guy, but before he started vaping, he was a whole lot smarter in a lot of different ways. It's coming back though. Your moods are worse, your impulse control is worse, increases depression and anxiety. Okay? Your mental health connections, just like we talked about. If you are vaping, you are more likely to report symptoms of depression and also suicidal ideations, which is really scary. So it's kind of a catch-22. The young, undeveloped brain gets addicted to nicotine. It makes you more depressed, more anxious, but you have this physical chemical addiction, and it's hard to get out of that cycle. Okay, just making sure I covered everything. And that second bullet point, one of the number one reasons why students vape is because their friend told them to do it, because they didn't have the information. Peer pressure. All right, so some of you may be having the California mindset of, hey, marijuana is legal in a lot of different states. Why is it bad for you? Why is it harmful to you? There's a lot of reasons why THC in vapes is very, very toxic to your brain. Here's just a few. Using the word dabbing. I didn't even know that was a word until all of this happened to me as a parent, but dabbing, another word for using cannabis or THC in your vapes. Still toxic. A lot of kids use slang words thinking that maybe it won't be as detrimental to their health, but it is just as much. And then again, THC, breathing difficulties, brain fog. Oh my gosh. EVALI, if I had more time, I would go all into what the new health reports are saying about the lung disease called EVALI because of your generation's vaping. Not y'all, but your generation. And the scary, scary thing about fentanyl, we know that fentanyl can be prescribed to people, both over the counter. We know that fentanyl can be made in people's basements and their bathroom sinks. It's really scary. In fact, fentanyl is so scary, and it's really a thing. I'm from the North Georgia mountains. I haven't told y'all that yet. And fentanyl is a thing. We have kids falling out in all kinds of rural high schools because they thought that the fentanyl was safe to take because one of their friends' parents had it prescribed. If you can see this lethal dose, the size of a piece of rice. I've had people telling me that they've been in the presence of fentanyl and they've gotten sick from just the smell of fentanyl. Really dangerous. Coming around the corner, Zyn. These are in the same family as e-cigarettes. Just as toxic, just as much nicotine as 2 to 3 cigarettes per Zyn. I mean, if a person is quitting, it would be a better alternative, but just as bad. And keep on the lookout. Don't let that social media lead you the wrong way. Don't let these big companies tell us that these things are good for us. Don't be swayed. Keep an eye out. And if all of this is not resonating, but you're an environmental concerned person, there's a lot of effects of vaping on the environment or e-cigarettes on our environment. The environment that your kids and your grandkids are going to try to grow up in with all of these toxic things out there in our waterways, in our air quality, the plastic alone. A lot of code names for vaping tools, and this is more for my parents who are going to be joining the live stream. And the good part, this is my favorite part, healthy coping strategies. Oh, thank goodness, we're almost at the end because there's an uplifting ending. Health and coping strategies. So coping strategies are ways that you handle stress in a way that is beneficial to your health. You're like, we're college, we know that, lady. So open up your participant guide to the blue page, please. Yeah, 5 minutes. We're at the 5-minute warning. I'm going to have to go fast. All right. So at your leisure, you can review the coping skills, but just please know, arrow down to take slow, deep breaths. That breathing sticker I gave you, that's your number one way to reduce cortisol. When you feel your shoulders coming up, take a deep breath. Lowers your cortisol immediately. That's a great coping skill. We have some tips and tricks for you, not tricks, where did I get tricks from? Tips about nicotine and cannabis, how to quit in that participant guide. If you could please flip over to this page right here. And you're going to see a QR code, right, that I created for you. This QR code goes to every single one of those hyperlinks that are there. Okay, those hyperlinks will take you to all the resources. I love Truth Initiative. They have an iPhone app that's free, that's anonymous to get help. There's help for quitting. There's help for families. Just know that that is a resource for you. And for our post-assessment of our learning together today, let me see where you're coming in with our learning target. Let me see your fist of 5, please. All right, I did my job. Check, check, check. Excellent. And then your takeaways, if we had more time, I would have you do some reflecting. But just take a second when you leave here. when you're not preoccupied with your technology, think about what are your takeaways from this time together? How will this information help you continue to be a leader and serve the world? Think about those things, really important. If you're interested in a Q&A, you can come back later today. Y'all like, yeah, lady, we're done with you. But if you are interested in the Q&A, please come back later today because, you know, we're out of time here today. And if you need anything, my email address is all over that participant guide. Feel free to email me. Feel free to reach out to Mr. Pennington. And I'm here for you, and thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, ma'am, for being here. Thank you for the very informative brief. We would like to present you the GMC Challenge Coin as a token for our appreciation.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. Thank you.